Have you ever found that sometimes just getting started is the hardest thing? Have you ever noticed that once you got going, things took on a different nature, really? That is the power of consistency. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And consistency really causes something special to happen and lots of different things to happen. But really, when we do something on a daily basis, over and over, consistently, things seem to click. They seem to just gel in a different way. And really, our results multiply and transform. It sounds, I say simply, right? We just simply do something every day because that is not simple. It seems like common knowledge, and common knowledge is just often not common practice. So we may know that we just need to do one thing every day consistently towards our goal in order to have good results. Actually, in order to have great results and move towards our goals. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we do it. Now, in Prepare, one of the keys of our methodology, the D in good to celebrate, stands for daily action. Do it daily. I think about that so much. I talk about that so much. And I try to do it. But here at the end of the year, I was asking myself a lot of hard questions. And I realized I wasn't as committed to daily action that I knew I had to be if I wanted to really have the results that I said I wanted, if I really wanted to have the transformational results I dream of. And so I asked myself some hard questions and decided to make a new commitment to acting daily, focused action daily towards my goals and dreams. And this has caused a lot of change. This has been very difficult. And even if you're someone that is doing a lot of action, I want to ask you today if you're really doing 10 minutes every day in English. Are you? Maybe you have a big dream, but are you breaking that down and doing something to move yourself towards that goal every single day? Well, I want to ask you that and push you towards that. And actually today I want to talk about 6 reasons that daily action is so important. And hopefully, well, this is going to remind me, and I hope it reminds you, and I hope it pushes us all to act more consciously and consistently. So let's talk about 6 reasons why daily action is so key, so crucial, and so important. Well, the first reason is consciousness. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's a difference between our mind and our thoughts and how we understand them. So we don't have to get all into the philosophy and exactly how all of that works, but we do know that we can recognize what's going on in our mind. And the more that we're able to recognize what's happening, the more that we're able to recognize the thoughts that are going through our heads, we're able to decide whether we accept them, whether we believe that they're true, or whether we take control to maybe change them or think of them differently. So let's say that when you make that commitment, to 10 minutes every day to do something towards English. And your thought is, well, today doesn't really matter. Today I'm tired. Today I need a break. Today I'm not feeling well. Maybe one day doesn't matter that much. All of these thoughts happen in our head. Consciousness is listening to those thoughts and choosing whether you're going to accept them. So that is the choice. And what happens is that with consciousness, we take control. And the more control we have, the stronger we feel, right? And that gives us a lot of the other aspects that we're going to talk about next. But the important thing is that when you know you have control, you can make that decision. And rather than feeling frustrated about all of those crazy voices in my mind, I've been using this time to really analyze them and to think about the things that have been stopping me. And regardless of our thoughts, we do have the power to control them, which brings us to number 2, right? Number 2 is motivation. Now, we sometimes want motivation to just come to us. It's like, oh, I just want to be motivated. Maybe if I just wait, the motivation will come. But motivation just doesn't drop from the sky. Yeah? Motivation is like energy. It's created. It has to be created. So we actually get motivation by really analyzing, talking about, remembering our whys. So, like we talked about before with consciousness, when those voices in our head is going, well, those voices are saying, you don't really have to do it today. It's not that important. Take a day off. Our motivation comes from that time where we stop and we say, no, this is what I really want. I want it because of this. I really want a better job because I want to be able to travel. I want more income. I really want to change and move to another country because I want a better quality of life for myself and for my family. When we really talk about that, we remember that, we go back to our motivation, it becomes easier for us to do what we know we need to do. And that, when we find that strength within, that power within, that's real motivation. That real motivation can't be given to us by anyone. It can only be created by us. And that motivation that's created by us, well, it can't be taken away either. So we got to create that motivation by acting every single day. And when that thought comes into our head, we remember and we remind ourselves of our motivation. And that comes to number 3. And number 3 is momentum, right? We don't really have to get into physics to talk about Newton's law. Newton's first law. It's so true, right? An object at rest stays at rest, while an object in motion stays in motion unless it's acted upon by an outside force. Well, if we're not moving, we're not moving. If we start to move, we build momentum, right? And we can notice that in so many things that we do, and that's why I asked you at the beginning of this video, if sometimes it's just hard to get started. It usually is. We have to take that initial step. And usually those first few days, those first few weeks, those first few words, those first few challenges are the most difficult because we're building momentum. But once we keep it going, well, it just makes everything so much easier. I love the metaphor of a heart, right? Right now our hearts are beating. Our hearts are beating or we wouldn't be here, and our heart just keeps on beating every single day. We don't even pay attention to it. But our heart can stop, right? The better we take care of ourselves, the better our heart will beat. But it can stop. And nowadays we have defibrillators, so we can give that shock and jolt our heart right back into action. But let's see, which is easier? To just keep the heart going or start a heart that has stopped? It takes so much more energy to start again, so much more energy. And we often lose a lot of energy that we built up in the process. So really, momentum comes down to just making our lives easier. Sometimes we just have to keep going because we know it will make it easier in the long run. So again, when that voice says not today, you say, yeah, today, because I'm just going to keep on moving. And that takes us to number 4. Number 4 is competence. When we talked about the virtuous C circle, competence is a key piece, because competence is a super key piece when we're talking about language particularly, but any kind of learning and really any kind of growth. When we learn something, especially when we learn the base ideas, it makes everything so much easier, right? So think about the fact, let's say you're learning how to pronounce a couple key sounds, right? If you start focusing on those key sounds, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to pronounce those words that you already know. Then when you encounter words that you don't know, it's also going to make it easier. And when you hear people, it'll make it easier. And even it'll make it easier to write and to read. So in other words, competence makes it easier for us to have more competence. So the more we know, of course we see more questions, we have more questions, but we also makes it much easier for us to know more, especially if we focus on those key competences. So that's what's so important, is if we focus on those bases and we know what's the most important and we focus on the specific knowledge we need, well, then it makes it so much easier to have more and more competence. And that brings us to number 5, which is confidence. If you're looking for confidence in English and you're looking to feel more confident in your English, well, of course you want to have more competence. So the better you speak, the better you'll feel about how you speak. And the better you feel, the more you'll want to learn, which means you'll have more competence. And then more confidence, and then you'll want to speak more. And it's a virtuous circle. It's a spiral, right? The more you have, the more you'll have. It just gets better and better and better. That's the truth with competence and with confidence. The better you get, the better you get, the better you get. So we got to start. We got to start focusing on those key competences, which will bring us more confidence, which will bring us new competence, which will bring us more confidence. So if you're ready for more confidence, then we just need to start today. Start with action, which will bring you more confidence and confidence. And that brings us to number 6, our last one, which is consistency. Yeah? Consistency means just doing it every single day. Just doing it because it's not easy. We tell ourselves, I know I need to do it. I gotta just do it. But those voices are really strong. Sometimes we've got really good reasons and we're really good at convincing ourselves that we don't need to do it. But there are many other reasons why we don't do things, right? But often we're much more, it's much more common for us to do things because of others than for ourselves. So it's important for us to ask today, lately, let's say in the past couple weeks, how often have you followed through on commitments you've made to yourself? And how often have you followed through on commitments you've made to others? It's very common for us to follow through more on commitments we make to others than to ourselves. There are many reasons for that, such as social pressure, the fact that we are social beings and we like to please others, and wow, there's so many reasons for that. But the point is that if you have found that it's easier for you right now, and you're more likely to follow through on your commitments to others, well, then we need to use that. If you know that you are much more likely to follow through if others are watching you, like most of us are, then make a commitment publicly. Go ahead, go on your social media. Say, hey, over the next few months, I'm going to be studying English every single day. Hey guys, I'm taking action every single day, 10 minutes a day, to go towards my goal for English. Tell your friends, tell the people you care about, who you know will support you, and they'll be asking you, which will make you even more likely to follow through on your goals. I'm telling you all of this, these 6 reasons, because they're so true and they're so important for us to remember. And like I told you, today is day 33. Day 33 since I've made a new commitment to myself, and now I'm making it to you. Yeah? One commitment that I've made and I've done for 33 days is to practice yoga every single morning. And I've done that for 33 days. I noticed last week that I stopped counting the days, which meant that it was becoming more natural to me. But let me tell you, lots of days I haven't wanted to. And that not wanting to and still doing it is making me so proud of myself. And I've also instituted other practices, and that comes back to everything that I'm doing with you. It's so important for me to create content and to send content and to empower people as much as possible to change their lives and transform their lives through English. So I'm doing something every day towards that as well. Every single day I'm taking particular actions to develop, prepare, and to develop all the people in the prepare community, which includes myself. And I've made that commitment. I've made that commitment to me and to you. So let's do it. If you want to make this commitment, say, yes, I'm on it. We're doing it. Tell us what you're committing to. Tell us what exactly you're going to do 10 minutes every day in English to move towards your goal. And if you're having trouble figuring things out, there are lots of videos on the YouTube channel, lots of other information on Instagram and on Facebook and LinkedIn. And we also have the course, Good to Celebrate, which is a 2-week course which will take you step by step to really understand your whys and create a daily action plan. And if you want that, it's available at the introductory rate for, I think, another month now. So go ahead and check that out now. But whatever you do, I hope that this motivates you to take more daily action and that you join me in taking daily action, to take consistent action every single day towards your goals, towards your amazing goals, because I know with that action, those goals are coming closer and closer and closer towards us every single day. Well, it's such a pleasure to talk with you as always, and much light, much love, and until the next week. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.